All right, let's dive into Act 4 of Macbeth. This is the act where everything really accelerates, where the new king, totally drunk on power and prophecy, finally goes past the point of no return. We're going to break down all the key scenes and quotes you'll want to have in your back pocket for your AQA GCSE exam. So Act 4 kicks off with maybe one of the most famous lines in the whole play. Think about this. Even the witches, who are literally the source of all the chaos, can feel Macbeth coming. And notice, they don't say someone wicked, they say something wicked. He's so far gone, so corrupted, that he's not even fully human anymore. He's become the very evil he was once just influenced by. Okay, so this first scene is all about Macbeth's desperate, frantic attempt to get a grip on his fate. He is just spiraling, totally consumed by paranoia. And instead of running from the supernatural forces that put him in this mess, what does he do? He doubles down. He goes right back to them, demanding more answers to try and lock down his power. Remember that hesitant nobleman from Act 1? The guy who was wrestling with his conscience? Yeah, he's long gone. What we see now is a full-blown tyrant who actually believes he can order around the forces of darkness. When he says, "Answer me to what I ask you," that's not a question, it's a command, dripping with an arrogance that, you can tell, is just covering up a whole lot of fear. So how do the witches answer him? Not with straight talk, of course. They throw 3 powerful, creepy apparitions at him. Now, for your exam, this is absolutely crucial. You need to know what each one says. But even more important is how their clever, twisted double meanings are built to play with Macbeth's mind. First up, an armed head pops up and tells him to beware Macduff. Now, this isn't exactly breaking news for Macbeth. He's already super paranoid about Macduff. And that's what makes it so brilliant. It's a psychological trick. By confirming a fear he already has, the witches totally earn his trust. And that makes him wide open for the much more dangerous prophecies that are coming next. And here we go. This quote is a total game changer. The second apparition, a bloody child, tells him that no one born from a woman can ever harm him. You can just imagine the relief flooding through him. He hears this and thinks, wait a minute, I'm invincible. I mean, who isn't born from a woman, right? This is a perfect example of what we call equivocation, a statement that's technically true, but is designed to be completely and utterly misleading. And the final prophecy seems to seal the deal, guaranteeing his reign forever. A crowned child holding a tree says he can't be beaten until Birnam Wood literally gets up and moves to his castle on Dunsinning Hill. To Macbeth, this sounds ridiculous. A moving forest? No way. He believes he's completely untouchable, and this deadly sense of security is exactly what the witches wanted to create. So, what's the first thing Macbeth does with this newfound feeling of being invincible? He acts. Immediately and brutally. The second he hears that Macduff has run off to England, he decides to act on pure impulse, rage, and paranoia, without a single shred of hesitation. This is it. This is the ultimate point of no return. Killing Duncan, you could argue, was for ambition. Killing Banquo was self-preservation born out of fear. But this, the slaughter of Macduff's wife and children, serves zero political purpose. It is pure, spiteful cruelty. And this is the act that cements his status as a complete and monstrous tyrant. And now we get to see the horrific fallout from that vow. The very next scene yanks the horror of Macbeth's tyranny out of the dark castle and puts it right in the middle of an innocent family's home. It makes everything brutally, uncomfortably real for us. Shakespeare creates such a personal and tragic scene here. The back and forth between Lady Macduff and her son is so sharp and witty. When he asks his mom, "Was my father a traitor?" it just highlights how smart and innocent he is, which makes what's about to happen even more devastating. So when the murderers burst in, Lady Macduff's defense is just simple. I have done no harm. This is such a powerful line to use in an essay, because she quickly realizes that in Macbeth, Scotland, being innocent is no defense at all. In this earthly world, she says, doing terrible things is often praised. It shows us just how completely the moral compass of the country has been shattered. This act of savagery sends a chilling message. Under Macbeth's rule, nobody is safe. Seeing an innocent child murdered right there on stage signifies the total collapse of morality and humanity in Scotland. It's a moment that's designed to shock the audience to its core. So the final scene of Act 4, and it's a long one, takes us somewhere completely different. We're in England now. And it's a deliberate shift, you know. We're moving away from the darkness and tyranny of Scotland to a place where the forces of good are finally starting to gather and plan their fight back against Macbeth. Now, this is a really key moment for understanding Malcolm. To check if he can trust Macduff, he pretends to be an even worse tyrant than Macbeth, claiming that compared to him, Black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow. It shows he's cautious, he's wise. He is not like his trusting father, Duncan. He is determined not to make that same fatal mistake. And Macduff's reaction, this raw, broken cry of despair for his country, is exactly what Malcolm was hoping to hear. It proves Macduff's loyalty is to Scotland itself, not just to whoever's on the throne. He's horrified at the idea of another tyrant, and in that moment of pure patriotism, he passes Malcolm's test. But just as this new alliance is being forged, Ross shows up from Scotland with terrible news. And what comes next is the emotional peak of the entire act. It's got some of the most powerful lines for Macduff's character. You can just feel the tension as Ross struggles, trying to find the words to say the unsayable. And then, finally, he delivers the devastating blow. The use of that one word, savagely, is so important. It's not just that they were killed. It highlights the sheer brutality, the animalistic cruelty of what Macbeth has done. Macduff's response is just utter disbelief and raw human grief. This quote is absolutely perfect for analysis. The animal imagery he uses, his pretty chickens and their mother hen, paints this picture of his family as these innocent, helpless creatures just wiped out in one fell swoop by a vicious predator, Macbeth, who he later calls a hellkite. This little exchange here says so much about masculinity in the play. When Malcolm tells him to basically man up and fight, Macduff's reply is revolutionary. He says he also has to feel it as a man. While Macbeth and his wife seem to think being a man is all about aggression and cruelty, Macduff shows us something different, that true strength includes feeling grief, emotion, and sensitivity. And this is the final, crucial turning point of the act. Malcolm encourages Macduff to use his grief as a whetstone for his sword, to sharpen it, to let all that profound sorrow transform into a focused, righteous anger. His personal loss is now about to become the fuel for a public cause, to face down and destroy the Fiend of Scotland. So as we head into the final act, the battle lines are drawn, and it's intensely personal. On one side, you have a tyrant wrapped in a false sense of security who thinks he's literally invincible. And on the other, you have a grieving hero with absolutely nothing left to lose.